So today we're talking about the purpose of the new covenant. I don't think there's anything more joyful or a privilege to see than people who have been married for a long, long time, and you can see them maybe walking together along the beach, hand in hand. You can see a deep conversation going on between the couple in their sort of latter years of life. Maybe they're being married maybe 50, 60 years, or maybe you even see them in the church, and you see them often holding hands together in the church and maybe lifting up their hands, praising, or just being together. And it's a sign of a strong covenant relationship. There was that time maybe they were single and footloose, and then they took their vows before a holy God, and they took them seriously. And their whole marriage represents the beauty, the joy of being together. And it's a real witness to people on the outside. So often it's been a witness to me of, wow, it really works when you stand on the covenant promises of God and you make covenant vows. Well, there's a beautiful picture in the New Testament of the purpose, the identity of the new covenant. And it's in 1 Peter chapter 2. It says this, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are a people of God. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. And you see this in long-standing, loving marital relationships. You see this knowledge and identity of worth in the marriage relationship. It's a real partnership. And God, from the beginning, entered into a partnership with humanity, with Adam and Eve. He chose the few to show the many in the world what it looks like to be in a covenant partnership with himself. Of course, Adam and Eve chose to go their own way. Broken relationships, broken covenant, struggles in the world. Just not just them, it's you and I. Not just the politicians, it's you and I. Broken relationships. So the new covenant in Jesus, which was inaugurated at the cross, the death of Christ, set up a new covenant. By his blood we are cleansed. And so this text says not so much just individuals living as Christians in a covenant relationship, but actually the people of God, the gathered people of God living out this covenant relationship in a broken world. It says, firstly, we're a chosen people. Well, we should have that identity that we are a chosen people. Why? Because out of the many where the covenant relationship had gone wrong, God chose Noah, then he chose Abraham, then he chose Israel, then he chose David. And so the church now is the true Israel, the true people of God, the gathered people of God. Sure, as individuals, we mirror that chosenness, but he's actually speaking about a chosen people, a gathered people, a people who together, like that married couple, represent, witness, God's faithfulness, his love over a long period of time. We are chosen in Christ. Before the world began, he chose you, and now you are in him because you've chosen him. You are now part of his people, a royal priesthood. What do priests do? They represent God to the people and the people to God. We are mediators in a world that is full of sin and struggle. In your relationships at home, in your marriage, where you work, you're a mediator. You're part of God's chosen people, and you have a mediating role to bring God to people and the people to God, their sin and their shame, and to represent God, his forgiveness, his grace, his love, his truth. And then a holy nation, God's special possession. Just reading that, you should feel his love enfolding you. You're in a secure relationship with him. The covenant represents his faithfulness, even when we are unfaithful. Every time you see a rainbow, it reminds us that he is faithful. Even when we go astray, that he remains faithful. The whole purpose of this is that we may declare his praises to the world that doesn't know him. That's a kind of an evangelistic declare through word, through action, through song, through deed, through taking care of one another, the one another aspect. Those who are inside the church and those who are outside, those who are far from God, to show them God's love. Because the text goes on to say, once we were not a people, but now we are a people. Once we had not received mercy, now we have received mercy. So how are we inspired to do this? Because Jesus became a nobody that we might become somebody. He was rejected that we might be accepted. Jesus was not shown mercy on the cross so that we may receive mercy. This is the purpose of the new covenant, friends. Father, thank you that you love us and you care for us. Help us to live as a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, so that we may declare, so that we may show the world, the not yet believers, that you're a living God who loves them, who wants them to become part of his family. God bless you, friends.